After decades of inner turmoil, a peace treaty, and open elections in the early 1990s, Cambodia finally began opening up to tourists. And these days, one of the most visited sites in Cambodia is the Angkor Wat Temple complex near the city of Siem Reap, where over 1 million visitors pass through each year. The city itself is developing fast and luring tourists even faster. New hotels are being built everywhere, and package tours are adding the temples to their must-see itineraries. But all this development puts the environment on the back burner.
There's absolutely no regulation and there's no caps on anything. They've been building since I've been here, which is almost 1.5 years. Building hasn't abated. There's no plan.
But the rapid rise of tourists to Siem Reap has also sprung a few organizations who hope that ecotourism will be a solution to counter the unregulated development. The Sam Visna Center for Wildlife Conservation recently started eco-birdwatching tours around Cambodia. Karen Nielsen, the ecotourism development coordinator, says that they work in partnership with local villagers and show them how conserving wildlife creates a better future for everyone involved.
What we're trying to do is show them that, okay, you don't hunt the birds, and people will come to see them and pay you for your services, And in that one village where we take people, our guides have actually gone in there to do some training with them. That's one of the things we do to get back to the villages. And we've done surveys with them, and we say, well, do you want to keep doing this? Do you like people to come to your village? And they say, we want them to see the birds. So they have some pride in it.
Half an hour away from Siem Reap is the Great Tonle Sap Lake, whose own tourist potential has been developed in certain areas with the environment in mind. The government recognized the lake's importance and designated it a protected biosphere reserve with 3 core areas in 1997. Soon after, the Wildlife Conservation Society began developing ecotourism projects to sustain habitats and native species, as well as help local villagers. The village of Chong Kanaes on the northeast shores of the lake is mostly just a stopping-off point for tourists taking the boat from Phnom Penh to nearby Siem Reap. But amongst the stilted wooden shacks is a small environmental center where visitors can learn about the lake's fragile ecosystem. The Gecko Center, short for Greater Environment Chong Kanaes Office, was started in 2000. The glossy pictures on the wall show how the life of the villagers who depend on the lake has ebbed and flowed as dramatically as the lake's own seasonal changes. During the dry season, the lake shrinks 75%, exposing trees and ground, basically a forest that looks like any other. But during the wet season, the rivers that feed the lake swell, reverse direction, and fill out the lake and flood the forest until only the leafy treetops remain above water. Fish and birds depend on this natural cycle, and the villagers have adapted with stilted or floating houses and boats. The Gecko Center's main goal is to educate school-age kids about the importance of protecting and caring for the lake's environment, lessons that will hopefully carry on into the future. In the recent past, many of the lake's villagers poached bird eggs and chicks in order to survive, but in doing so began endangering species.
I've seen videos where they used to fill boats with, eggs were overflowing from the boats.
But the ecotourism projects have created alternative livelihoods for the villagers that emphasize preserving the wildlife instead of destroying it, and it's working. Just a 2-hour boat ride west across the lake is the floating village of Prek Tol. French NGO Osmos works with the WCS on conservation and ecotourism programs around the protected Prek Tol core area, the most important being the bird sanctuary. Eco-tours run by the Environmental Research Station give tourists access to many rare and endangered birds not seen in any other parts of the world. Migrating birds endemic to Southeast Asia nest and breed in the lake, which is a vital stopping point since it's one of the largest water sources in their migration. Right now we're on top of one of the ranger stations here at the Prek Tol Bird Sanctuary, and there are 2 rangers here that hang out all day and survey the wildlife. One of the interesting facts is that many of the rangers that work for the environmental center used to be poachers, but they found that conserving the wildlife was actually more lucrative than poaching.
They knew where the nests were, and they knew what time of year that the birds would lay eggs. And obviously if you could persuade the poachers to turn into the rangers, then you'd be taking away the part of the population that had been affecting the breeding success of the birds.
And so far, this 8-year conservation program has been a success. Many of the bird species, although still endangered but now protected, are making a comeback.
Proof of the success is that the populations of these large water birds has increased. I mean, the Oriental data has increased eightfold since 2002 to 2005.
But still, all the problems of the lake aren't yet solved. Although there are these success stories, the lake still faces many hurdles like overfishing and pollution. But by far the greatest threat is cross-border dams. China is planning on damming the Mekong River within its own borders, and in doing so could stop the unique rise and fall of the Tonlé sap that in turn could dramatically alter the ecosystem, disrupting the animals, plants, and people who depend on it. But still, Karen and Nick have hope for the future of ecotourism.
I think it can only do good things in the areas where it is controlled, because the villagers will see the value of having the wildlife there and tie it to their livelihood.
It's very much in its infancy. It's a few small operations dotted around the country with no real coordination. But the tourist numbers in Cambodia are, I forget the statistics, but they're supposed to double or treble over the next few years.
It seems like Siem Reap is already seeing this and preparing for it. So if all the tourists that descend upon Angkor Wat would give these local ecotours a try, business and the environment would be booming.